Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this leadership episode of 30 Minutes to President's Club. My name is Armand Farouk, and I'm here with my co-host, Mark Cusklow. And today, we have the first ever upsell, cross-sell, expansion leadership episode I think we've ever had on 30 Minutes to President's Club. And it is with the Director of Growth Sales at Insightly, which is now an unbounced company. Mark, why should people listen?
I think it's super cool that we finally have somebody that is dealing with, in what most companies is the largest revenue producing arm, which is expansion. I know at Outreach, by the time that we got that thing rolling, it was far outperforming new logo. I think that Courtney does a good job of introducing 2 or 3 key concepts that can help you transition from either having dedicated reps for new logo and growth over to specialized positions, or how to get new logo reps more into that part of their job.
Alrighty, Courtney, welcome to the show. We start every show with your top 3 actionable takeaways. Let's get your 3.
So my first takeaway is 4 ways that you can identify your growth ICP and how that might differ from your new business ICP. I manage the growth team here at Insightly, and our primary responsibility is to upsell our existing customers and cross-sell into different products. So Insightly is a primary CRM company, but we also have marketing automation, we have a service platform, and we also have what we call App Connect, which is ability to integrate Insightly with other tools. When we're thinking about our growth ICP, the first thing that we want to think about is what can we sell to them, right? When we think about especially companies that have multiple products, that's going to really determine who you're going to be going after. For example, new business team is going to sell somebody on CRM. They buy CRM initially. Our growth ICP is going to be someone that we're going to want to cross-sell into. So we're going to be looking at what products can we sell, where's our white space, and obviously as we dive into different white space opportunities like marketing, that's also going to change the personas that we're going after, which would differ from the new business team. For example, VPs of marketing, marketing managers would be kind of our different persona group on the growth side that we would be going after. The second one would be usage, right? So we like to use usage to guide us on who we should be reaching out to. Fortunately, as a CRM company, we've got a ton of data on how our customers use our tool. So usage can help us drive who we reach out to. An example would be a customer that is using reports a lot on the CRM side could be a good fit for a higher plan level that has dashboards where they could turn those dashboards into visualization. That's always a good metric to look at. Another one that's really helpful for us is looking at customers that are really engaged with support and customer success. Those customers typically have a higher likelihood of purchasing more, they're engaged, they're working with us, they have better adoption. So those are really great customers to go after in the growth ICP. Another thing that we look at is company size. So if a company is larger and they have not a lot of users on the CRM side, we're going to be going after those customers for expansion in seats. So obviously we can cross-sell, but upselling and expansion is also a really big part of how we grow revenue within existing customers.
Awesome. What's number 2?
Number 2 is how we are interacting with our existing customers already. And so something that a lot of companies might not do is think about how do our customers interact with us and how can we take advantage of those points where they're maybe raising their hand to generate inbound pipeline for growth. What we really want to take advantage of is making sure that those different points of engagement are optimized. We have customers coming in all the time asking support questions about how can we do this or how can we do that, or we need help, with our emailing tool in CRM. What we've done is we've trained our support reps to identify upsell and cross-sell opportunities. So customer, for example, coming in asking questions about how they can do emailing in Insightly in the CRM would be a really good fit for marketing automation. So we've trained the support reps to say, hey, what you're doing is something we can do bare bones in CRM, but we actually have a marketing automation tool where you can do this on steroids and you can email lots of stuff, lots of different people. You can segment, you can create customer journeys, and then they go ahead and pass that as an inbound lead to us on the growth side, and we engage those customers around a cross-sell opportunity for marketing.
Alrighty, Courtney, bring us home. What's number 3?
So number 3 is our big deal review. Every week we have 2 AEs present, and that's typically presenting to our VP of sales, myself, their peers, the sales engineers, and sometimes marketing attends these meetings. From there, they go through all of the different things that are kind of components of that deal, typically around medic. And then from there, everyone weighs in. This really enables us to sell better. We can get lots of different opinions on a deal. A couple weeks ago, we had a deal that was quite complex with a lot of moving parts, a lot of different integrations. We had an SE on that call. They were able to identify some integrations that we would be able to use to solve some of the customer's pain with one of our cross-selling opportunities, which is App Connect. So not only did it help us save the deal, but it also helped us add a new product, which was really useful.
Love it. Courtney, one of the things I've found when you start to put emphasis on expansion and cross-sell and upsell is when you have reps that are used to just doing new business, most reps fall into that rut of like, this is my pet product. I'm so good at this base product. And these other things, as they come around, I can do it. How are you helping your reps feel as comfortable selling the other stuff rather than just the stuff they've always sold to get the new business?
A lot of training is definitely a big thing. One thing that we've done at Insightly particularly is we actually segmented out particular growth reps. So we have a new business team and we have a growth team. And the growth team's primarily responsibility is cross-selling into all 4 of the products we have to offer, right? So for them, more products means more opportunity to win, more opportunity to make their numbers, more opportunity to make money. A lot of that comes with training. There's obviously certain products they feel more comfortable selling, but they have a whole host of things in their arsenal to sell customers. So oftentimes they're going into conversations with the customer and just trying to run discovery and just see where can we fit, where do we have holes in white space, and where can we fit in different products.
Do you have product specific quotas? Have you gone that far? Or is it just, hey, sell anything you want, but you got to hit your number just on expansion and cross sells?
Sell anything you want. Whatever we can sell, we will sell, whether it's an upsell and that's, higher plans within each product we sell, whether that's expansion and licenses, or whether that's a different product, or sometimes it's services, sometimes it's support that we're selling. They basically sell anything they can sell to hit their growth number.
One of the biggest challenges we had at Outreach when we separated out growth and new logo, and quite honestly, this was our greatest area of growth for about 2 years at Outreach when we made this distinction. It was transformative for the company. Was CSMs are always a little weary about, is the account ready to be sold again? Are they happy enough to go through a sales cycle? How are you managing that conflict between the CSM and the AE who's ready to go aggressively sell?
I think the first thing is we get the CSMs and the AEs together as leaders, and we really try to say, hey, we are the account team. Our responsibility is to also make sure that our customers are using the tools we have, but it's also to continue to get the customers to grow with us. The more products a customer has, the stickier they are. And so some of the things that we've done is we've partnered really closely with them. We've done training with the CSMs. We partner in QBRs. So we run QBRs for our customers that are run by both CSMs and the growth account executives together. So they each have components where CSMs are talking about adoption, and then the growth AEs are talking about opportunities to grow within the accounts. Part of that is getting them to work really closely together and work together on the accounts. They also meet bi-weekly, so they go through all their mutually owned accounts and they kind of talk through, okay, is this customer ready to be upsold? If not, we'll hold back. Is this one ready to be? We also incentivize CSMs to pass CSQLs. So that's been really helpful. But I think part of it is just really making sure that the leadership is aligned. So I'm aligned with the CS leadership. We present to the teams as a unified, leadership, and we make sure that they work closely together and we partner them as much as we possibly can.
How do you resolve those disputes? Because I'm sure there's an account where
Sure.
AE says it's ready, CSM is not ready. Who lays down the law? Who's the judge?
So typically when those happen, we have the CSM and the growth AE get me and the CSM manager into a Slack. We throw in the account, we explain the situation, and then me and the CSM manager typically have a discussion, and then we make the decision together.
I want to recap 3 of the things that you shared in terms of getting upsell opportunities or even just managing the CS-AM relationship. Number 1 was QBRs. So there's a quarterly rhythm. Number 2 is there's a bi-weekly CS and account management one-on-one or three-on-one, however you want to structure it.
Mhm.
And then number three is you actually have incentives for customer success qualified leads. So
Yep.
that CS is like incentivized to send over leads.
Yep.
Let's talk about number one first, and then we can go through the other ones.
Sure.
So QBRs. How is a joint QBR structured? If there was an 8-slide deck, or if you were to read off the meeting agenda for that meeting, how would you structure a joint QBR?
It definitely starts out with the CSM. As growth account executives, we like to piggyback on the CS trusted relationship with the customer and use that as a way to open up a growth conversation. But it always starts out with your typical CS QBR, where we're getting into how's the adoption right now. We're going over the goals of the customer that have been maybe communicated when they initially purchased. How are we tracking towards those goals? How is the adoption of the tools we currently have? So that takes up probably the first half of the call. The second half of the call is really talking about where are the opportunities where we can grow together? Are there any new goals that we're working towards? And that's where the growth account executive or the account manager typically comes in and starts to have that conversation. It's really a nice seamless pass off. The CSM is typically like, okay, let's talk about maybe future state, right? Is kind of where we do. They pass it off to the growth account executive, and then they kind of take that and say, okay, let's talk about what future state looks like for you. What are your future goals? Here are the areas that I've identified as opportunities. So typically we come into those calls educated. We do research on the account. We look at their usage. We look at the ICP, and we figure out, okay, here's our recommendations on where we see you can grow, but let's hear from you. And then from there, if the customer piques their interest, we typically have a separate call where the growth account executive has their own kind of discovery around whether it's an upsell or a cross-sell opportunity. But we typically come in at the back half of the QBR.
So you've got CS person, what were your original goals? What's your progress toward those goals, etc. Great, we're happy. Now we go to the account manager or the upsell AE, the growth AE, and it's like, okay, what are the opportunities for us to grow together based on some of the triggers that you identified in your first takeaway, whether it's usage, products, what have you. So I could see how this would work really well if you got a happy customer, but there are probably QBRs that you know your AEs are going into where it's like, oh, this one's going to be a little bit dicey.
Mhm.
And you probably want to still have your future goals and future opportunities to grow together in your back pocket. What's your team trained to do if you know you're going into like a pretty hot QBR?
One of the things that they do is they prep before. So we sync with the CSM and we understand how healthy is the customer, where are we at with them. So we already know if there's risk typically when we're going into a QBR. So we're prepared. If we know the customer's at risk, we probably know majority of that call is going to be the CSM addressing challenges the customer's having, trying to make sure that we're realigning towards their original goals. Sometimes what we can do at the end is if some of their challenges are related to an upsell opportunity, meaning their challenges are because of lack of functionality or their challenges are because they might need an additional product, typically that's when the CSM will pass it and say, hey, this challenge can be solved by this additional feature function or this product. That gives us a segue to go in and have that conversation. Or sometimes it's really not around growth and it's just around painting the picture of what the future of Insightly can be. And so some of that is like product roadmap. Here's what we have coming up that might be interesting to you that can help solve your problems. But again, we try to tread lightly if we know the customer is at risk. And if it's really at risk and we don't see any opportunity for growth, sometimes we don't attend the QBR and we just let the CSM take that over, try to get the customer in a healthier spot, and then we can maybe attend the next one.
Courtney, how do you coach a rep to understand that, listen, a problem that you're having with our current deployment doesn't prevent us from solving another problem that you have that another product would then solve? And of course, there's like the trust issue of like, well, if you can't solve this one, would we give you another one? But most people, especially if they've been a customer a while, they know you're going to figure it out for them. But how are you coaching reps to have that conversation?
I always tell my reps, like sometimes you do have to help before you can sell, especially in an account manager role. Sometimes you're having calls where you're just really helping them with their current implementation. Sometimes that means that you're not going to make any money. Sometimes that means you're not going to sell anything, and that's okay. But I think that the ultimate goal, and this is where we really try to align with the CSMs, is we have to get the customer in a healthy spot before they pay any more money, before they buy anything else. It's really around, let's just make sure we can do everything we can. And sometimes we act as CSMs and we try to lean in and we try to help and give our opinion. It's coaching and letting the customer know that we're also a trusted advisor. We're also somebody that can help. And then obviously trying to really train them on what challenges align to our product. So we do lots of training around every product that we sell, obviously, and then try to align the products around pain statements. So a pain statement could oftentimes relay to an additional product or sometimes an upgrade in features. So we do a lot of training around that so that when they hear those trigger words of like, I'm having challenges with this, they think, oh, it's this product, or oh, it's this function or feature. It's also just trying to gain trust with the customer, solve the problems as best as we can, or point them to the right resource, and then position yourself in an upsell or cross-sell.
So, Courtney, I want to ask you about one of the other plays that you identified early in the episode, which is naturally there are cross-sell plays, which is let's get other products. So, for example, if you're selling CRM, go sell to the marketing team. There was also a really interesting ratio that you shared that I was geeking out about, which is how big is the company relative to how many users are in the tool. So for example, if the company's 1,000 employees, but you've only got 5 users in the tool, my guess is they have more than 5 salespeople in the organization. So how do you approach seat expansions or wall-to-wall deals? What are some of the most common plays your team is running there?
Something that we do a lot, and most of the time it's partnered with CS, sometimes it isn't, is we do account mapping. So we go and look at the account, who are the users we have, look them up on LinkedIn and figure out, okay, what part of the organization are they a part of? Typically it's sales. Then we're going and looking at LinkedIn and looking at that company and figuring out what other teams do they have that could benefit from having access to customer data. Sometimes it's a project management team, sometimes it's a CS organization. What we're doing is looking at what other potential groups there are. And then most of the time it's using our champion or the person that we are in contact with and have a relationship with on the CRM side, which is typically like a salesperson, and utilizing that to really understand the org makeup. Who are the other teams that could benefit? Can you introduce me to the head of that team? And then we try to spawn conversations off that way to look at expansion and then start to kind of understand what are those teams' needs, because they're oftentimes very different than a salesperson's needs. So that's typically how we go about expansion, but really just pulling a report of what's the company size, how many users, helps us kind of identify out of our 7,000 customers, which ones have the most opportunity for expansion in seats. And then from there, we typically do our account mapping. Sometimes we do cold outreach to those folks, the head folks, if we can't get an introduction, and then try to create conversations that way around discovery and figuring out where can we maybe plug and play in Sightly CRM or other products.
One of the most common ways I've seen many of my past companies lose customers or lose upsell or expansion opportunities is you had a great champion and that champion all of a sudden decides to leave the company, or there was a layoff or whatever it is. And now you've got like the lost puppy syndrome where you're sort of like wandering around trying to like claw for your next like toehold or foothold in the account. So when you hear that you lost your go-to champion in the account, what is your team's play to work with CS to find another anchor point within the account?
So that's typically what they're talking about, and this has happened many times for us, people move companies quite often, is sitting down with the CSMs and figuring out, okay, who else have we worked with in the past? Oftentimes the CSMs are doing training for the champion, but they're doing training for the entire team. And so it's us sitting down and figuring out who are the other points of contact that have been really engaged, that you've helped, that lead these teams, that we can get introductions to from the CSM. Again, we really like to utilize the trusted relationship that the CSMs have to get introductions into new champions or new personas that we have not had access to.
In wrestling, there's this one coach that taught me this analogy called the perfect triangle, which is the perfect triangle is if you keep both of your shoulders and your head in line. You've got like 3 points where like your frame is pretty solid. But if you're like over here, you're letting people mess you around, all of a sudden you're off balance. And we've actually thought about the same thing when we're managing a lot of our sponsorship relationships at 30 Minutes to President's Club, where if we're only working with a head of content, for example, that's great. But if that head of content leaves, we're totally screwed.
Yeah.
And so ideally we find the head of content. Across, we find the head of demand gen. And then at the top, we find the VP of marketing and the CMO. And if we can have those 3 points of contact, you basically have a champion at the line, another champion across the line, and then one person at power at the top. That usually makes it so that if any one of those connections drops off, you have 2 points of contact, both at and above the line.
Yep, exactly.
Do you feel like you run deal reviews differently for account managers and growth opportunities? than new business, or is it the same exact deal review?
It's the same exact deal review. Yeah, but the things that we're talking about are typically different.
And how do you handle pipe gen with AMs? Is it like, hey, you got to get in your 20 calls this week. You better reach out to this many people. Is it KPI driven, or are you doing things more like just making sure that they have pipeline coverage?
As far as what we've done to generate growth pipeline, I think the first and foremost is making sure that we identify the growth ICP and identify the top accounts that look and feel like they are the most likely to buy more from us. And then once we've narrowed down those accounts, because for us, we have 7,000 customers. I have 4 AEs, right? They can't have a huge book of customers to reach out to. So we narrow down the list. And then what we've done is we've given each of our growth account executives a book of business of about 250 accounts that we've identified are our growth ICP. And then they are responsible for outbounding to that specific group of customers. And that's done in a variety of different ways. So the first and foremost is they want to do account research. They want to make sure they understand who these accounts are. What they're doing is uploading that list to 6sense to make sure that they identify kind of the key points of contact for expansion outreach. They can look at buyer intent signals. They can look at what marketing tool are these customers using? Are they using MailChimp, which is a competitor of ours? Are they using HubSpot? They also upload their book of business lists into LinkedIn Navigator so that they can track compelling events that are happening with that customer, which gives them reasons to kind of reach out and facilitate growth conversations. So for example, maybe a new leader that came on board or an acquisition, which would maybe encourage expansion in seats. Those are reasons we reach out. And then typically what the reps are doing is they're doing really personalized outreach to these accounts that are in their book of business. And typically those are done by different strategies. So they're maybe looking at what white space does this particular customer have? What looks like low-hanging fruit? I'm maybe going to do a cadence to this customer around marketing. Or maybe they've identified some pain from the CSM that they're going to utilize in their outreach and maybe address that in the emails. Maybe they're doing an industry-focused type of outreach. Maybe it's a manufacturing customer. And we do something around that where we have great customer stories that we can reference of manufacturing customers that have continued to grow and add products. Sometimes it's usage-based as well, or reasons to reach out would be like new features that we're releasing. What they're trying to get out of the personalized outreach and emails is basically an account review. We just want to get customers on the phone so that we can uncover where can we sell to them, what can we sell. In addition to their kind of personalized outreach, we also partner really heavily with marketing. One of the things that I've done in the last couple of years is me and our customer marketer meet weekly, and we come up with different growth campaigns that we can run. We sell App Connect, which is a integrations software that we can use, and it requires technical services. Technical services are expensive. So we offer a promotion that offers technical services for free for a certain period of time. I pull a segment of customers that would be a good fit for that. I give that to marketing, they run marketing emails, and then we come over the top with sales emails saying, hey, did you see this email about this promotion for marketing? Let's have a conversation about it. You'd be a good fit for X, Y, and Z reason. So a lot of it is personalized outreach, but then a lot of it is kind of piggybacking on customer marketing that we're doing for the customers with specific promotions that are running for a specific period of time to generate interest and pipeline.
I have a sense of the different ways that you're reaching out to accounts. So you're looking at intent signals, usage, all the things that we've talked about. You're using 6sense, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, etc. Volume-wise, how do you know your team is having a good week or a good month? Are you tracking activity touch points? Are you tracking pipeline coverage? And I'm curious like what some of those metrics are.
So I definitely have activity metrics that I track. I track number of outbound calls. My expectation is they're making at least 5 outbound calls a day to their existing customers. I also look at outbound emails that they're sending. More specifically, the good thing that we use about SalesLoft is they have personalization rates. So I can see of the outbound emails that they're sending, how much of them are personalized versus just sending like a mass blast, which is really important, especially with existing customers. It's important to show them that we know them rather than just sending some, kind of canned cadence. I don't think that's the right direction to go. We're looking for like 60% and above I also look at outbound outcomes. So I'm looking at how many outbound opportunities are they creating on a monthly and quarterly basis. So my reps are looking at about 15 per month is kind of what I'm measuring them off of, 15 outbound ops per month. And then I also look at pipeline as well. So how much monthly and quarterly outbound pipeline are they creating? And then how much bookings are they generating from outbound as well?
Amazing show. We have to move to the final question, and it is this. We talked about a lot of good habits that leaders can do, especially around running a growth or an upsell team. But what is one bad habit that every team should break so that all teams get a little bit better?
I would say a bad habit that you can do is just sending large cadences across your existing customer base and just expecting them to raise their hand and want to talk to you because they're customers. It's so important to make sure that you show your customers that you know them and that you really personalize your outreach. You personalize every engagement that you have. Don't just jump into a call and say, hey, how's everything going? Really come in with an opinion, come in with recommendations, show that you're the expert and the trusted consultant. I think really preparing for every conversation with an existing customer sets you up for the most success rather than just jumping into it and just hoping it goes well because they're an existing customer. They already bought. But I think that sets you up for growth.
Do not send 500 emails to your book of 50 accounts. Folks, amazing episode. Everyone hang on for a 60-second recap coming up soon. Alrighty, Mark, it's time for a 2x2 recap from this episode with Courtney Williams. What do you have for your 2?
Number one, I really like this concept of 2 different ICPs. We know for new business what ICP typically is, which is firmographic and technographic lookalikes to your customers. But that doesn't work when you're selling cross-sell and upsell because your customers all look like themselves. So I think having like a new set of criteria that you use to pre-qualify and prioritize which accounts are best to go after is a really strong way to give your reps that direction and focus that they need rather than saying, hey, here's 250 accounts, go get it, sucker. And then number 2 is failure to plan is a plan to fail. It's cliche, but it's true. And if you don't plan to have a sales conversation in a QBR, you will fail to have a sales conversation in a QBR. And you're missing out on one of the perfect times to have that really nice handoff, that give and take, that teamwork approach that says, hey, I'm taking care of you, and hey, I'm going to take care of your needs that we are not currently taking care of. I think that that's a really smart way to go into a QBR.
Number 3, the QBR structure that Courtney gave us was the CSM starts with what their goals were and what was the progress toward those goals. And then it transitions to the account manager who identifies future goals through discovery and opportunities to grow together. And again, you're coming in with a point of view. And lastly, number 4, but if you find that the customer is not in a good place, that's what you got to figure out before that meeting. And sometimes it actually makes sense for the AM or the AE to not attend that meeting at all. And then lastly, number 4, you should be incentivizing and training everyone to identify upsell opportunities. The 2 examples we got were number 1, Courtney's team actually trained their support team on certain types of tickets that could lead to upsell opportunities. So if someone's asking about how to be more efficient with their email process, you could do that manually with Incentivize CRM, or you could do it automatically with Incentivize marketing automation. Also, they identified multiple opportunities where CSMs would have QBRs where there would be upsell opportunities, but they also incentivized CSMs on CSQLs, customer success qualified leads, to make sure that they were actually passing leads over to the team. Alrighty, folks, so if you like this one, with our good friends over at Insightly, now an Unbounce company, we put together a full guide, the ultimate guide on how to manage your pipeline, both for reps and leaders. And so if you want to know how to run deal reviews, how to run pipeline reviews, and how to de-risk your deal step by step, you can go access that in the show notes, in addition to the multi-slide deal review template that Courtney shared earlier. Alrighty, folks, catch you on the next one.